Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to give everyone about 2 minutes to roll in and join the webinar, and then we're going to get started. So thanks, everyone, for your patience, and we're going to get started in about 2 minutes. Alrighty, we're going to get started here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We've got Kat Arigitano from Fivetran and Bruce Sandell from Looker here to talk a little bit more about how Fivetran and Looker work together to power the modern data stack for finance analytics and really drive a data-driven culture for finance teams. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Kat.
Thank you so much, Lauren. So excited to be here with you guys. So really quickly, just want to give a bit of an introduction of myself and of course of Bruce. So my name is Catlin Arigitano. Everyone calls me Kat. I am the product marketing director here at Fivetran. And so my role is really focused on taking what Fivetran does and help to translate that to particular use cases and business needs, how we can help different professionals solve different challenges. In a previous life, I was a college professor, so I have a PhD in philosophy. Bruce, over to you.
Thanks, Kat. Hi, everybody. I'm Bruce Sandell. I'm a senior sales engineer at Looker, working on our technology alliances team, so supporting all of our technology partners. And I've been supporting our alliance with Fivetran for almost 4 years now. Okay, back to you, Kat.
Thanks so much. I'm super excited to be here with Bruce and Looker in general. I am a pretty big fan, so this is going to be, I think, a lot of fun for me and hopefully as well for you guys. So let's get into it. So we're going to start kind of high level and then really drill down into specifics because I think it's important to all start in the same place. That way we're really focusing and getting the most that we can out of this. So when we're talking about finance analytics, at a high level, really what we're talking about is all of that work that you do to manage and study all of the different metrics to help you as a company really improve your productivity and hopefully profitability. While that might be finance analytics at a really high level, it breaks down into a few key projects usually. So we have things like planning and budgeting. So where you're really using different data sources to help you determine your budget allocation with your executive team. That can then be broken down into financial planning and especially an integrated financial planning, where you're connecting the dots between all the different departmental budgets to make sure that that higher level corporate budgeting and planning makes sense for your company's goals, maybe for the quarter or for long term. An additional kind of project that often fits within finance analytics is management and performance reporting. So especially if you're doing some of this planning and budgeting and financing for, let's say, a sales team, understanding how that team is performing and reporting back out is really, really helpful and usually goes hand in hand with finance analytics. And then the last kind of project that we see that falls under finance analytics is around forecasting and modeling. I am sure many people are actually doing a lot of this right now going into the new year and thinking through how can we forecast and model for 2021? What does that look like? And I think a lot of people are probably for the first time in a while thinking like, maybe we can't always rely on our historical data to help us with some of this, because it's really about determining predictable business outcomes. And I think this year has been, if anything, unpredictable. And the what if scenarios here are probably more than what we're used to. But overall, these are the major projects when we're going to talk about finance analytics in the modern data stack, is really kind of breaking down across these four. And I'm sure anyone who's dealt with these know that there are some challenges with doing these well and doing these in a way that instills confidence. And so just looking at this, like Gartner recognizes that this is a huge challenge when it comes to tackling finance analytics. First of all, because misuse of finance analytics can cost organizations as much as 1% of revenue per decision. So if you don't have the right data sources in, or you don't have the right context with those data sources, and you make the quote wrong decision, right, or just not the best decision, that can have a huge impact on revenue. Also, they report that only 47% of decision makers say that financial analysis adequately portrays the story of their business area and its performance. I think this is huge because this indicates, at least to me, that there is some missing data or missing context that aren't helping people make the best decision and adequately portray what is going on. There's always some sort of missing data piece or missing insight, so that decision just doesn't feel and isn't as accurate as it could be. And a lot of this is kind of like, herein lies the rub, where there are so many applications within your business that you can use to get financial data or help give you a sense of like what's going on in your business. And they're across so many different departments that it can make it really, really difficult to centralize that data for your finance analytics, right? And this kind of plays into why only 47% of people think it accurately portrays, because so many different parts of the business are creating more data that you would need to analyze and have access to, and that you might not even know about. So these shouldn't be, hopefully, challenges that are surprising to anybody who's done finance analytics. And in fact, there are a lot of traditional approaches to solving these, to centralizing the data that you need in order to be able to do those different financial analysis model projects that we talked about. So the first is through sort of very manual, like we call data wrangling, and this is most commonly seen through spreadsheets. So you begin by going and, let's say, downloading the data from whatever platform, let's say NetSuite, Salesforce, whatever it is, and beginning to work that data within Excel. So this is absolutely like a legitimate place to get started and to get going, but this works only if you have very few data sources, because anyone who knows, once you try and bring all of this together into a spreadsheet, compare it apples to apples, do all of your analysis on it, it's very easy to get unwieldy and to have to be error prone. So then the next kind of way that you could traditionally solve this challenge was through federated queries and sort of running these directly against source systems with a federated query engine. Not everybody has access to this. This often requires a lot of data engineering expertise to be able to do, and performance is not everything that it was promised to be or cracked up to be. So then a lot of people have gone the ETL route, which means extract, transform, and load. And this is where we begin to bring things a little bit closer into the 21st century and into that modern data stack, which we'll get into. But what you essentially do in an ETL system is you extract data from its original source, let's say NetSuite, Salesforce, whatever that source is where that data comes from. You transform that data. Let's say you want it to show you a certain, you do the transformation to show you that whatever you are looking for, let's say, budgeting, and then you load that transformed data into a data warehouse. This is a big step in the right direction because you're recognizing that need to pull it out of the platform and to really up-level it, but it can be very difficult to maintain. It requires, if you do this by yourself, a data engineering expertise to be able to do that extracting if you're not using a data pipeline or something like that, and to do, if that transformation isn't right that first time around, you've already loaded it into your warehouse, and so you'd have to go back and do the E and the T all over again to do to get that data that you want to load. So I think what is heartening, if you will, is that there has been, even in recent years, a fairly quick adoption to move a lot of this financial analysis into the 21st century and into this a more modern solution. And that's really what we want to talk about and how Fivetran and Looker fit into that modern solution. So if you're not familiar with Fivetran, we are the industry-leading data pipeline. And our entire mission is to make access to your data as simple, reliable, and easy as electricity. And we do that by extracting data from all of your different data sources that you may have, regardless of what they are, and loading them into your data warehouse. And so we talked about ETL, which is extract, transform, load. With Fivetran, and we'll complete this picture with Looker in a moment, we actually do ELT. So you have all of your data sources, right? Whatever those information or data points that you use to help you take on all of those financial analytic models and tools. And so what we do is we extract all of that data and then we load it into the warehouse. So all of that data is ready and available for you to then do that transformation. So for you to then start to do that modeling, or for you to then do that work to then be able to see it in your BI tool, in your Looker dashboards. And so with that, then there's no need to, you can do all the transformation that you want and all of that modeling within your warehouse. And that really then begins to unlock all of that data, bringing it all together into one place to very easily use. And so that's really what the modern data stack is all about. And so we support over 150 sources natively, so you can just bring those in. We've built those and we maintain those connectors so you don't have to. And it really is, Bruce will give like a quick little preview, but it really is as quick as just 2 or 3 steps to add in any of these data connectors and pull all of these in. It's done quickly, it's done in a way that protects your sensitive data, and is really easy to kind of get up and running, especially if you already have those data sources, a database, and Looker. Adding Fivetran to kind of bring those all together is very easy and gets you automated insights in minutes. So we talked about those finance analytic projects that you might be tackling. And so depending on what your project is, you would want to select connectors and essentially data sources that could help you solve those. So if you're trying to do some like modeling or forecasting, right, and you want to take into account different points of sale or CRM to help you figure out like what are you bringing in this quarter, what could you bring in next quarter. These are some of the sample connectors you could use to help you with your finance analytics. And finally, before I hand things over to Bruce to give us a very cool demo, which I'm excited about, I just wanted to highlight a customer that we have in common who really, I think, lives that transition from the standard or traditional way into the more modern way. And so they were having their engineering team spending 20 hours every month just on ETL projects. By switching to ELT, they were able to do more joins in their data across multiple critical dashboards, including quarterly summary data, OKR metrics, investor relations, and more. So really having that Looker Fivetran modern data stack has helped Sendbird kind of unlock a lot of their new analysis and speed up their time to insights. So to show you like what it looks like now that if you connect with Fivetran, bring all your data into your warehouse, Bruce is going to show us what you can do with some amazing Looker blocks to really take it to the next level.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kat. And Bruce,
Yeah.
we give it over to you.
All right, thank you, Kat. So I'd like to start out by telling you just a little bit about Looker before we move into the demo. So we describe Looker as a cloud-native BI platform that delivers actionable business insights to employees at the point of decision. And hopefully by the time we get done today, that'll make a lot more sense to you. So organizations that work with Looker find 3 primary benefits. First is that it makes your data teams more agile. Having a single simplified system results in faster responses to change, and data teams can create automated, repeatable processes that allow them to focus on new initiatives faster. Also, it makes data teams more efficient. Analysts can save time by providing self-service experiences for users, and they're able to collaboratively work with other analysts. Their focus can change from maintenance to improving business outcomes, and they'll shift from managing infrastructure to delivering insights. Last, governance and control of data is simplified when the systems are all centralized. There's a single source of truth for metrics, and data remains in a single repository. Rapid access to data and agility aren't sacrificed with improved governance. At its core, Looker is fundamentally a different modern way to do analytics. And that's based on a few key areas where Looker has focused our technology. The first is our in-database architecture. This means that no data needs to be extracted or moved from the database or warehouse before being analyzed. Looker supports more than 50 unique database dialects, so whichever database you choose, Looker can leverage it. And Looker can take advantage of native database functionality, such as machine learning tools, data permissions, and any other advanced functionality that your database provides. Second is Looker's powerful semantic data modeling layer, also known as LookML, which saves analysts lots of time. Analysts model their data and define metrics in a single unified way to keep the whole organization in sync. And developing models, metrics, and new ways to use data is highly collaborative. It reduces unnecessary repetition of work, and it's Git integrated. Model changes can be controlled, audited, and distributed among departments and analysts. And third, Looker is it's cloud native and extendable. It's fully web-based, and with Looker, you get a full API so that you can connect to third-party systems or even other analytics tools. And Looker can be deployed on the cloud infrastructure of your choice. Looker is open and interoperable, and that's one of our core architectural tenets. So to build on the diagram that Kat showed you earlier, once Fivetran has helped you to centralize your data, Looker will connect to that centralized data source, which is where you're going to define all of your business logic. Then you can use Looker to accomplish all of your data-related tasks, which we bucket into 4 main categories. First is modern BI, which is creating dashboards, reports, and ad hoc data exploration for all of your internal analytics needs. Next is integrated insights, and that's bringing data from Looker into the tools people are already using, like your CRM, customer support, and chat applications. Next is data-driven workflows. So that's sending data from Looker to third-party tools to automate workflows. For example, sending an audience from Looker to a marketing automation tool, or a curated set of data to a machine learning tool to perform predictive analytics. And finally, are custom applications. Using the data from Looker to power your own analytics experiences, either through embedding Looker visualizations directly or leveraging our API to power your own completely custom data applications. When you're ready to start working with a new data source in Looker, there's a good chance that you'll be able to take advantage of Looker blocks. A Looker block is a pre-built LookML model along with pre-built dashboards, all built by subject matter experts. There's Looker blocks for many common data sources, including many of your favorite SaaS applications. Looker has over 100 different blocks available, enabling you to greatly reduce your time to value with new data sets and allowing you to start gaining insights from the data in minutes rather than days or weeks. Besides blocks for common data sources, you'll also find blocks for common analytics patterns like cohort analysis, affinity analysis, and funnel analysis. We have lots of blocks for Fivetran connectors. This is an example of some of the blocks that can be used for financial analysis, but we partner on several other blocks, including Jira and Zendesk. Centralizing data from these disparate systems opens up all kinds of opportunities for analytics that would be much more challenging with the data siloed in their source systems. As an example, at Looker, we use the Fivetran blocks for both NetSuite and Salesforce and combine that data into an accounts receivable aging report, which not only includes AR data, but also information about the customer's account manager along with other account-related information. This allows them to leverage sales relationships to collect on any delinquent accounts. It also allows our finance team to slice and dice our financial data by any of the custom fields that can be created in Salesforce. Today, we'll be taking a look at the Fivetran block for NetSuite. This block includes a number of pre-built dashboards that can be used for analyzing your sales and expenses, as well as interactive financial statements. We'll take a look at how easy it is to install the block so you can get an idea of how quickly you can be up and running. The first step is to set up the connector in Fivetran. You'll provide information about how to access NetSuite data, as well as your data warehouse, and then start the flow of data. Next, we'll move to Looker. We'll create a connection to our database, and once we have the connection in place, which just involves supplying some information about where the database is located, as well as authentication, then we can move into the Looker Marketplace, which is where we'll find these Looker blocks. So we'll go into the Looker Marketplace. We'll find the NetSuite block. And this gives you a little overview of the block and some of the information that you'll be able to get from it. And then you'll simply hit install. And the install process is really quick. There's just a quick preparation step. We'll accept a license. And then just a little bit of information about the type of permissions that are required to work with this. We go ahead and accept that. And then we provide the name of the connection that we just created to that NetSuite data, and then the name of the schema that we had specified in Fivetran where this data will be loaded. And then we hit install, and it's just that simple. And in a couple minutes, the application will have installed, and we'll see within Looker that we have this new Oracle NetSuite block. So to see what got installed, we can click on this and see that we have 6 new dashboards that were automatically installed to allow us to start analyzing our NetSuite data right away. So we'll take a look at one of these. This is the income statement. And this is a fully interactive version of an income statement. So we can filter this on a limited time period if we want. So if we wanted to see 9 months instead, we can go ahead and run this to limit what we're looking at to just 9 months. And then any number that we see in here, we can click on to get more details. So the data in Looker that you're seeing here is as fresh as the data in your database. And when you're clicking on these values, you're going directly to the database. So you're seeing the most recent data that's available. So if we wanted to see what made up this $129,000 cost of goods sold, all we have to do is click on it, and we can drill into the general ledger entries that make up that amount. One of the reasons that people really like working with Looker is that they can go in and do their own interactive data analysis. So if we scroll down here and take a look at this expense trend, we can see that our expenses were running at about $22,500 for several months, and then dropped down into the $16,000 range. So if we wanted to do some of our own analysis to see what was causing that change, we just click on the title of this dashboard tile, and this is going to take us into Looker's Explore interface. And this is where users come to do all of their own slicing and dicing of data. This is where all the visualizations that we'll see and all the dashboards that we'll review today are made. And this is also the result of all of the work that your data analysts do, providing self-service reporting for the end user. So this is where you're going to find all of the common metrics that users are able to use for their own reporting, so that users are all they're using a single repository for their data, and they're using a common set of metrics for their reporting. So you don't really have to worry about 2 users walking into a meeting with different values for the same metric. So I want to focus a little bit on just the expenses here. So I'm going to get rid of my cost of goods sold and my other expenses from my filters. And I'm going to go ahead and rerun this. And we should just see only expense data. All right, and then I'm going to change the visualization type to a table because I want this to be more of a statement form. I know that these are all expenses, so instead I'm going to remove the expense, the account type name, and I'm going to add in the account name to get a better idea of what it is, where exactly these numbers are coming from. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. All right, and let me resize this quickly. All right, and then we can see that we had $900 in online fees that have dropped off. And we also had about $4,800 in rental expenses that have dropped off as well. So that accounts for the variance that we saw in our expenses. If we wanted to get some more information about what this rental expense actually was related to, we might want to do something more with this visualization. So we have the option to save this as a look, which is Looker terminology for a standalone report. We could save this to a newer existing dashboard. If we wanted to just send this off to one of our coworkers to get their input on it, we could send it via mail, or we could send it directly through a chat application. Or if this is something that we wanted to refer to regularly, we could save and schedule this so that it showed up on in our inbox on a regular basis. The next dashboard that we have available is our accounts payable. And this just gives us an overview of who we owe money to. And I can see that I have a few overdue bills. And that's something that I'd like to avoid. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create an alert. And you can create an alert from any dashboard tile within Looker. So I'm going to just click on this bell. And anytime that my overdue bills is greater than 0, I want to get notified. And so I can get notified by email, and I can pick my frequency. And I can either make this alert available to everybody else in the organization in case other people wanted to subscribe to this, or I could make it visible only to myself. Save that, and then I will have that alert sent to me anytime that we have overdue bills. Overview of accounts receivable. So this shows you what you have coming in, a list of your overdue invoices as well, so that you can act on those. A high-level overview of expenses. So we can see all of our expenses by account group, and as you can see, we're having an overwhelming amount of that is based on cost of goods sold. So if we wanted to get rid of those just so we can get a better idea of how some of these other expenses are affecting us, we can just click on that to hide it from our visualization, maybe get rid of this depreciation expense as well. And then we can see that in August, we had a lot of miscellaneous expenses. And if we wanted to get some more detail on what those miscellaneous expenses were, all we'd have to do is click on this and we'll see what comprised all those expenses. And then finally, just an overview of our sales by customer, group by country, state. So all of this analysis is available immediately so that you can start working with this NetSuite data right away. So that's it for the demo. So just to summarize, you can help your finance teams get the most out of their data by automating. So we'll automate the movement of that data from NetSuite into your data store using Fivetran. Make sure that the data is reliable and accessible, And finally, don't shy away from adding more data, because the more data that you have available, the more insights that your teams are going to be able to gain from it. If you have questions, this is how you can get a hold of Kat and I. And I think that we are ready to take questions now.
Yeah, so we are at time, but if everyone does have time, I did want to just ask 2 quick questions. Of course, obviously, if you only have the half an hour to join us, totally understand. Feel free to hop off. But we did have one question, which I think would be really great for Kat,
Sure.
is on which cloud does Fivetran run? Are we on AWS, GCP, Azure? You know, can you give some details?
Yes, we run on all of those. So Azure, AWS, Snowflake, and GCP, we run and support. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then one more for Bruce. And then if your question didn't get answered live, we have been trying to answer them in the chat. But if you have any others, please feel free to submit them in the chat. We'll send them out to you with the follow-up, and there will be a recording sent out after this webinar concludes. So Bruce, just a really quick question for you. How easy is Looker to implement? So does someone need to know SQL in order to interact with the Looker platform?
So there's 2 aspects to this. The first is for the data analyst, and the data analyst would need to know SQL, because they're going to be the ones that are setting up the metrics for the users, and they'll be working with our LookML modeling language. And the LookML modeling language is really just an abstraction of SQL. And typically, after data analysts have spent a day or 2 with it, they love it because it takes care of a lot of the inherent problems that are present with SQL. One of those is reusability. So SQL is not really a reusable language, but you can code all of this into your LookML model. It's easily reusable. And then a common problem for data analysts is if you want to change a metric or you want to change something in a report, you have to go change it in lots of different places. Using LookML, you're going to go change it in one place, and it's automatically going to cascade to all of the different reports and dashboards where it's used. Also, it's very difficult to collaborate when you're developing in SQL, which is something that you can do easily with Looker. And it's Git integrated, so that you're able to save and protect all that code that you're writing as well. Now, from the end user perspective, they do not need to know any SQL. As we saw in the demo when we were exploring what was causing that drop in expenses, all the user needs to do is point and click on the data that they're interested in. And in the background, Looker takes care of generating all of the required SQL, creating all of the joins that are required. So very simple from the end user perspective. Really, all the heavy lifting is done for them by the data analyst. So a simple process for the end user.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bruce, and thank you, Kat. And thank you, everyone, for attending today. Again, if your question didn't get answered, we will send it out along with the recording as soon as this concludes. And with that, that is our webinar. So have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.